TomoNews presents Apple products. Apple says new $1,000 iPhone may get screen burn. Did you make it rain on the new iPhone X? Then you may want to keep an eye on the screen. Apple's support page for the device says that in extremely rare cases, the iPhone X OLED screen may suffer from burn-in. Some Pixel 2 XL users experienced this last month. It's like a ghost image left over from a high-contrast image that's been displayed for long periods of time. Apple company says they engineered the new display to reduce the effects of burn-in. Google didn't offer a fix for the screen burn-in on Pixel 2 XL phones, but did extend the device warranty to 2 years. Apple investigating swelling iPhone 8 batteries. Nearly half a dozen iPhone 8 Plus owners from around the world have seen their devices cracking and swelling. The swelling in these cases reportedly occurs when the iPhone 8 Plus's lithium-ion battery is charging. Apple says it is investigating the problem and is in possession of one of the damaged phones. 5 iPhone 8 Plus owners in Canada, Greece, Japan, Taiwan, and Hong Kong have reported similar issues. According to Apple news site Mac Rumors, it's common for a small number of devices out of the millions made to have some battery issues. Last year, Samsung was forced to recall hundreds of their Galaxy Note 7 phones after users reported battery problems, some of which caused devices to combust.
First-of-its-kind malware strikes iPhones and Macs. A California computer security lab has uncovered a new form of malware that seems to be targeted towards Apple users in China. The researchers at Palo Alto Networks say the malware source is from the software hosted on Maidi, a Chinese third-party app store. Some 467 applications were found to have the Trojan horse there. Once downloaded, the malware goes to work, infecting other apps and creating clones of itself. But the reason it's called WireLurker is because it also exploits a USB connection to infect iPhones without needing to be jailbroken, which is a first for an Apple smartphone. The malware's goal isn't clear right now, but it's recommended that people with Apple products not download anything from third-party stores or connect unfamiliar devices to their PCs or iPhones.
Apple slowed down your iPhone, and here's why. Data from a benchmarking firm confirmed long-held suspicions that Apple has been intentionally slowing down older iPhones. The tech giant has confirmed as much, but claims it's not a conspiracy theory to get you to buy their newer models and is instead a battery issue. Lithium-ion batteries degrade over time and can only hold an 80% charge after 500 charge cycles. This, along with cold climate or a low charge, affects performance. Older iPhone models tend to draw more power than their batteries can handle, which can cause the device to suddenly and unexpectedly shut down. To prevent this, Apple's new iOS update throttles CPU speeds on older models in order to limit how much power is drawn from the battery. A number of users have worked around the issue by replacing their batteries, which reportedly restored the phones to their normal speed. Critics have slammed Apple for its lack of transparency, pointing out that users should have been informed of the issue and possible solutions. Most mistakenly believed they needed to upgrade to newer models, when really a battery replacement would have sufficed.
New iPhone ditches the headphone jack. The iPhone 7 boasts a slew of new features, including improved battery life, stereo speakers, more memory, a better CPU, and a nice screen, but no headphone jack. The new model is also being touted as water and dust resistant. That's water resistant, not waterproof, by the way. The 7 sports new cameras perfect for photo ops and selfies, while the Plus model features a telephoto lens perfect for pervs. Most controversially, Apple decided to eliminate the near-universal headphone jack. To listen to audio, you'll need to use the Lightning connector with Lightning earbuds, or use an adapter for current headphone jacks. Apple's also banking on the hope consumers will buy AirPods, rechargeable wireless earbuds with a 5-hour battery life. They'll not come with the phone and will be sold separately for $160 in late October. And that's on top of the $650 or $770 you'll already be paying for the base or Plus model. So if you're a head bobber or lose things easily, you better watch out. Otherwise, it'll be $160 down the drain. The iPhone 7 makes a weird hissing sound. Some iPhone 7 owners claim their new phones hiss like snakes when put under pressure. Some Apple iPhone 7 and iPhone 7 Plus users say a low hissing sound emanates from the back of their phones when the devices are pushed to their processing limits. There is a consensus online that the noise could be coil whine, caused when the phone's powerful A10 processor comes under a heavy workload. Coil whine occurs when an electromagnetic coil physically vibrates due to the strength of the electric current passing through it. The noise can be dampened, for example with a drop of glue, but the dampener can deteriorate over time. Coil whine can occur in any electric circuit and is quite common in personal computers. It's not been much of an issue for smartphones until now, probably because the processors in the devices just weren't big enough. Not all iPhone 7 users are experiencing the problem, and so far Apple has declined to comment. iPhone 7 owners with the hissing problem report that Apple has been willing to replace defective devices. The only problem with that is the lack of iPhone 7 stock in most stores, which means complaining patrons will have to wait quite a while for a replacement phone.
How the latest cell phones achieve water resistancy. Samsung, Apple, and Sony all boast a water-resistant feature on their new phones. The phones, Samsung's Galaxy S7, Apple iPhone 7, and Sony's Xperia XZ, are all designed with similar tricks to prevent water from damaging their electronic interiors. But before we dive into the specifics, let's make one thing clear. The phones are water-resistant, not waterproof, meaning that they are able to resist some water penetration, but not entirely. Samsung, Apple, and Sony achieve water resistancy by creating a seal around each phone's components. Like an egg boiling in water, if a small hole is created in its shell, its internal structure is compromised. The most common seal used is tacky black adhesive that usually attaches the screen to the chassis. The same adhesive is used on circuits near exposed ports. Rubber gaskets are used around buttons, ports, and trays. Silicone rubber boots further help seal buttons, separating them from inside components. And tiny mesh screens are used to regulate airflow while keeping water out of speakers by playing on water's natural cohesion and surface tension properties.
Here's another reason to just ride your bike. Apple reportedly gave Uber's iPhone app access to a secret backdoor that potentially allows the company to record a user's screen and access other personal information without his or her knowledge. A majority of iPhone apps use software to enable features like the camera or Apple Pay, known as entitlements. However, Apple keeps certain entitlements for itself to allow optimal integration with the iPhone. Uber was found to be the only app other than Apple's own apps granted access to the entitlement. Uber says the entitlement isn't being used, and it is working with Apple to remove the API completely from the app. Security researcher Will Straffitch, who discovered the situation, said this: "Granting such a sensitive entitlement to a third party is unprecedented as far as I can tell. No other app developers have been able to convince Apple to grant them entitlements they've needed to let their apps utilize certain privileged system functionality." Anyone need a lift instead?
Tim Cook has Steve Jobs spinning in his grave with latest Apple event. Apple's presser with Tim Cook had Steve Jobs spinning in his grave. Jobs actually came back to life halfway through to kick the living crap out of Cook for doing the things Apple said it would never do. Say hello to the $100 Apple stylus, excuse me, pencil. Apple has always pushed the envelope, but now it looks as if the envelope is pushing back. What do you do when you can't innovate? Imitate. Say hello to the Microsoft Surface Pro. Sorry, the enormous iPad Pro and its one-of-a-kind keyboard. But wait, there's more! Apple also decided to release different colors for the Apple Watch no one wants, along with a ridiculously overpriced Hermes edition. They also unveiled the new Apple TV for people who like using your TV for everything except watching TV. As expected, the iPhone 6s and 6s Plus upgrades were announced along with the much-anticipated 3D Touch. The Apple fanboys and Wall Street might have been impressed, for now. But isn't it time to tell the Emperor he forgot about his clothes?
Apple source code leaked online. The iPhone's deepest, darkest secrets may have just been revealed in what some are calling the biggest leak in history, and Apple is not pleased. Source code for the iBoot, a core component of Apple's operating system, was posted on GitHub early this week. Despite being tied to the outdated iOS 9, the code could make it easier for hackers to find vulnerabilities that would allow them to decrypt an iPhone. Conversely, it could also be used by security researchers to develop protection against flaws that could compromise the device. With only 7% of devices currently running on iOS 9 or older, and several other safeguards in place, end users are not at risk, but keeping software up to date is still beneficial. Apple later confirmed that the leaked source code was genuine, but has since filed a DMCA notice to get GitHub to take it down.